Get nice and comfy under your covers. Hold on to your favorite stuffed animal and relax as Daphne reads you another sneezy story before you go to sleep. This is part 2 of the short stories and comics of Susan having to sneeze while trying to hide. Did you hear that? It came from over there, she heard one of the voices shout. Susan's mind cleared as she realized that she had to move fast. She backed up back under the desk and found a loose panel on the side of the cubicle. She pushed it out of the way and crawled through to the next cubicle and did the same. At this point she looked out of the opening and could see that the two men had converged on the site where she had sneezed. She waited to just the right moment when both of their backs were turned and quickly scrambled across the floor to the exit. Once in the hall, Susan got to her feet and headed to the first door she could find. The entire building was dark, but this room was pitch black. Susan waited till her eyes adjusted to the darkness. It was then that she found that she was in a storeroom where they kept all the mannequins for different displays. She slowly tried to maneuver her way through them when she accidentally knocked one over. The crash echoed through the room and Susan could hear the sound of footsteps racing in her direction. She ducked behind one more mannequin when she heard the door open. She stood perfectly still as she watched a hand come through the opening and start to fumble about the wall looking for a light switch. The first switch it found turned on a large overhead fan, but the second one turned on spotlights that were positioned in every corner of the room. One of the spotlights shined right in Susan's eyes, causing a photonic effect. It was the first time that Susan realized that her allergies were still bothered by all the pollen she had inhaled earlier. She could feel the terrible sneezy sensation return. She fought hard to not even squint her eyes, knowing that any movement would give her away. Susan watched nervously as the two men worked their way through the room. It was right then that Susan felt a painful itch on her cheek. She looked down only to see a lock of her brown hair being pushed across her face by the powerful overhead fan. It scratched and tickled its way across her cheek, coming closer and finally coming to rest on the underside of her nose. The hair prickled and tickled at her left nostril. Susan tried to blow air up from her lips, hoping to push the hair away, but it only caused it to vibrate and for the tickle to become more intense. She could feel the sneeze beginning to grow. Her eyes began to tear, and she could feel her nose becoming runny. Her heart was pounding in her chest as she tried to wriggle her nose around, but quickly stopped when she realized her mistake. The lock of hair had now gone up her nostril. She could feel the hairs scratching against the soft inner side walls and gently tickle against the soft small hairs that lined the inside of her nose. Susan felt her body begin to shake as a single tear ran down her cheek. The tickle was like no other she had ever felt before, and this only caused the sneeze to grow in force. She could see through watery eyes that the men getting closer. She could feel her fingers squirm at the ends of her hands. She wanted so badly to raise them up so she could itch nose and put an end to the torture. The sound even surprised her. The sneeze was building quickly now, and Susan's stalkers were already alerted to her whereabouts, but still she struggled with the sneeze, still hoping that maybe there still was a chance to escape. She thought to herself, please not now, not again, not another sneeze. She desperately hoped the sneeze might subside, but instead it only grew stronger till finally her nose couldn't take it anymore, and the sneeze erupted.